I'm here with Andy Lally of Magnus Racing. Unfortunately, this is going to be the last race for you with Magnus Racing as you've announced your retirement from motorsports. Christ. I've been covering you for 15 years.
Been a minute. It's been a minute.
You know, but what went into the decision to walk away? Was it solely because of John doing his hotel stuff? Or,
So, the conversation with Trans Am started nearly 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that John was potentially thinking of not being full-time this year, but in reality, the real portion was I just logically looked at what my age was, where I was going, and I still feel fine. My reactions are still good. I still play like a kid. I'm 50 in a couple weeks, though, and I potentially, maybe, I could do 1, 2, 3 more years, like kind of at this level where I'm happy with my pace, my reactions, my whatever. But the opportunity to potentially become the president of Trans Am again probably isn't going to come around.
No.
So that opportunity came up, and it was something where I said, okay, I can potentially do that for 10 years if I'm good at it, you know, and if I apply myself fully to that, there's really not going to be a lot of room for driving. And so to finish out my contract and my career with Magnus is something I wanted to do. And so to start 2025, just do one last crazy run at Daytona and see if we can win a 6th. That's really the goal. So this is to have fun and try to get one last podium in there.
Righto. Now, what are as president of Trans Am, what's really your role there overall?
I have so many roles. So Trans Am is just a smaller deal. You know, Tony Perella's done an amazing job of, under the SVRA banner, building Trans Am back up, and we've got a really good base group with our TA2 guys, and then we've got a spread of GT classes in there as well, as along with our new GT1 class and our TA Cup class. Excuse me. And I've been a huge fan of TA for a long time, and I love the no driver aids, no ABS, no traction control, huge horsepower, not a lot of downforce. That makes the racing really good. So I think it's a blast. I'm going to have roles helping our tech directors. We've got a tech director, 2 different tech directors. My race director, I'm going to basically be an assistant all along the way. Try to enable them to do the job that they can do the best, and then contribute where I can with my experience and what I would do as a driver, what I want to see as a driver. And then communicating with the teams and the drivers. You know, getting our rules package on the technical side right, and then getting our schedules and our races run as efficiently as they can to put on the best show for the fans, but then as well be the best experience for the teams to bring in more entries, grow both of those. Our 2 flagship classes, TA and TA2, are what we're really trying to grow with. There's an interest in GT as well, for sure. I mean, I'm a GT guy coming over there, so I've got a big interest in it. But like as I was growing up, that TA class was amazing, and I'm so thrilled to see how many young guys that we've got coming in, running essentially the only stock car road racing series in the United States, which is TA2.
Yeah, and that's grown substantially in recent years. They've had races with as many as 45 cars.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of crazy to watch. I think current TA2 has somewhat similar horsepower to what you used to see in Trans Am in the early 90s.
You're probably right. Not probably the 80s. The Trans Am cars are in the 500 horsepower range, but they're light. So your power to weight is good. You don't have a lot of downforce. You've got a spec tire that moves around a lot, and it's a relatively tall sidewall tire. And significantly for me and what I push and what we're seeing a lot of young kids coming through the ladder is you can get into TA2 at a very young age, and it is an excellent rung on the ladder to get you ready for the road racing done in the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And that's significantly increased in recent years as well.
Yeah, when you got 7 or 8 Xfinity road courses, and this year I think there's 3 truck races. Like I put TA2 right kind of on the same rung as ARCA as far as like need for young drivers to be able to experience, especially bang for the buck as a role. But and then even most especially, you can get into Trans Am at a very, very young age. Younger than what you can in NASCAR. So it gets kids either out of late models. A TA2 car is a straight late model. And I've driven a TA2 car. It's extremely similar to an Xfinity car. So to have that ability for that bang for the buck, for OEMs to put their young kids in it, and for families that want to see their kid get up and running, it's great. And then on top of that, the icing on the cake is that we've got veterans in that series that have been, in there for a long time. Our reigning champion right now, Matos, has been in for years. So there's a bar that these guys come in. It's not a bunch of 14, 15, 16-year-olds racing against each other, and you really have no clue. If you can beat Matos, you're doing good. You've kind of so that mix of young guns versus the old vets is makes it really good on track.
Yeah, I believe the season starts in 5 weeks, I believe it is, at Sebring?
It is. So I just came from Sebring. I'm doing the Roar here. Sunday night, right after the Roar, I'm driving right back to Sebring, and we have Trans Am has a 2-day preseason test, so I'll do that Monday, Tuesday, and then come back up here Wednesday, get ready for the 24. So
that's weird.
Yeah, it's a busy week. Yeah.
All right, man. Now, you have raced for Magnus since 2012, with the exception of 17. What are going to be your biggest memories of being with the organization?
Man, so many on so many different emotional levels. On the competitive side, when you look at, man, I want to get with a good team that wins races and whatnot. We've got a ton of wins and a ton of podiums. I've been with them even in 2017 when they went to a different series. I went over there with them and was coaching and calling strategy and stuff like that. And then we came back here in 2018. So it's been at the end of the 2012 season, I was joking around with John. We were talking about extending my contract and whatnot. And I said, man, if you're ready for me, I'll sign a 10-year contract right now and finish out my contract, my career with Magnus Racing. That was 13 years ago. So it's we've stayed, not only stayed as great teammates, but we're great friends too. So that's special. That helps keep everything together too. We're having just as much fun off the track. And like you alluded to, that like the good things about Magnus, the competition side, dead serious on that. Everything else that doesn't have to do with making the car fast, not so serious, which is a great way to run a team and an organization like this in this environment, because it's appreciated by the fans and the people that we work with as we're all working together for this.
Right. Now, when you first joined the team, you were fresh off your rookie year in the Cup Series, which ended not so great, unfortunately. It wasn't your fault.
No, it's all good.
But it wasn't all.
I mean, the writing was on the wall. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember at the time I tried to do an interview, and you were like, I didn't want to talk about it at the time.
So so the neat thing about this relationship with John is John saw what was going on there. We were talking through the 2011, through my rookie season, and he was trying to lure me back to the sports car side. So we're probably, 5, 6, or 7 races to go in the NASCAR season. He said, "Are you doing this? Are you?" And I said, "I have no idea. I'm looking for opportunities." And he offered me. We did a handshake deal way before my Cup deal was done for me to come back in the sports car. So I knew with 5, 6, 7 races to go that I was coming back to IMSA and going to race in sports cars again. So it was something cool to try. we just did it on a minuscule budget, 1-car team,
Yeah.
no engineer. It was tough, but I'd honestly, I don't regret it because it was fun. I met a lot of great people over there. I got to do the Daytona 500, and that was a childhood dream come true. So really cool.
Right. I remember at the time, Magnus had only done, I believe, 1 year in Grand Am at that point when you joined.
Right. So John and I actually got teamed up for the first time in 2009. We ran the Grand Am Cup season together in a Porsche. We won our first race together at Watkins Glen in 2009. But then he started his own team, and I'd stayed with that team. I was with that team for 6 or 7 years, and when the transition was happening, where I was going to be leaving the stock car stuff and coming back to the sports car stuff, it only made sense to jump in with him. We had gotten along so well in the 1 year that we did drive together it just made sense.
I know, man. And here we are after 14 years, and you're still here. Magnus is still here, and they're still more or less the same jovial dudes.
Yeah, and it's a pretty. I don't know if there's been a longer driver team owner pairing on the IMSA side of things. I mean, maybe Hurley. Scott was up there. I don't know if he lasted 14 years.
And Peter Gregg? I don't
know.
So.
Who knows? Yeah, I don't know. I honestly have never looked into it. It's just something that's kind of come up today as people have been asking. But yeah, no, it's neat. I mean, even it doesn't matter whether it's the most or long. It's a long time, regardless. And that's special.
Yeah. Right. You don't get that every day.
No.
In this sport, having relationships like that prolongs careers in a sport like this.
Mm-hmm. It does. Yeah, no, and honestly, it makes it more enjoyable. It makes you motivated to kind of keep going when there's a continuity, both in philosophy and competition focus. Makes it easier to come do your work.
This year, we have a pretty strong lineup, a familiar lineup. You're here, Spencer's here, you got John, and you got Nicky T.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows his stuff. Mm-hmm. What do you think about your chances this weekend, man?
I love them. This will be the very first. My last race will be the first time that I've ever had the same driver lineup for 3 years in a row. Mm-hmm. And the first time by far. This chassis is the exact chassis that we've had for. This is our 4th Daytona 24 with not just Aston Martin, with this exact chassis. So I'd never before this had the same chassis from 1 year to the next. So we started with a new engineer midway through last year and got along with him really good, and he's been excellent. So it'll be neat to see how we apply what we learned last year to Daytona, and then see what everybody's really waiting for is how the BLP shakes out and how we're measured up here.
Trenton Worsham with Frontstretch.com. Come back for more great racing videos. And if you like us, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.